In this live stream, I'm going to be giving an overview of all of the features of the latest Ecamm Live update, Ecamm Live version 3.10. So I'm going to go through them all step by step, and then we'll come back to the live chat afterwards. So let's get into it, shall we? And I've even got a slide because, hey, they are new features. So let's just be perfectly clear about that. So I've broken them all down. Obviously, when you do the update in Ecamm Live, so if you are using Ecamm, if you've had it shut and you reopen it, it should just prompt you to install the update. But if you haven't, then if you've already got it open, personally, I leave Ecamm open all of the time. It's just always on my computer because I use it for not just these videos, the live stream, stuff like that, but also for business, for my Zoom meetings, team meetings and stuff like that. So it's always just on and ready to go. So if that is the case with you, then you might want to just go and click on check for updates as well. So there are really a ton of new features. I mean, it could quite easily have been a 4.0 release to my mind. Mind you, the 3.8 was or 3.9 was a bit like that as well. Lots of new stuff. So what I've done is I've taken all of those things and I've just sort of organized them. And so we'll go through them sort of step by step as they relate to these different things. So the first thing that I'm going to cover is really a thing in its own right, really, and that is the virtual mic. So we have had the virtual camera for some time now, but the virtual mic is basically going to do the same for the audio coming out of Ecamm as the virtual cam does for the video feed. This is a pro feature, but I understand that if you contact them or go to renew your trial, if you're on the standard plan rather than the pro plan, you can get a 2-week free trial of Ecamm again on the pro level, just to try out the virtual mic. So definitely give that a go if you are on the regular version. It's a great little feature. And so what is the virtual mic and how do we use it? Well, let's go and have a little look, shall we? I'll just crop into my screen a little bit to make it a bit easier for you to see. So basically in the output menu, you've got, this is where we've had virtual camera before. And so virtual mic, when you go to it, it will probably have just a little box here that says install virtual mic. So you need to do that first. That is just to basically create this virtual microphone on your system and allow it to basically present everything that's coming from your audio out to this virtual mic and for your system to pick it up. So what is the use case for this? Well, basically it's a bit like the virtual camera went into Zoom or Teams or whatever, or Discord. Let's be current about this. That basically allows all of your video feed that you're producing from Ecamm Live to just go into those platforms. So that was great for most people, to be honest, because most people wanted just to be able to have some of the production values that they've got in Ecamm going into Zoom. But then sometimes if you had like sound effects and things like that, and you also wanted those to go into Zoom, to Teams, to whichever platform it was, then we would get into this whole thing about loopback. And anybody who's been in the Ecamm community could not have avoided hearing about loopback. And people either love it or hate it. And some people found it a little bit confusing. Some people found it complicated. So it was just kind of another little thing that we needed. Well, really, with a virtual mic, the majority of people probably won't need a loopback now, because basically all you're going to do is in Ecamm just turn on that virtual mic feature, and then in Zoom, for example, you would just go and select the virtual cam as your camera feed, and you would select the virtual mic as your microphone. And then what that's going to do is your mic would still be feeding into Ecamm, just as it would be if you were recording or live streaming or something like that. But then Ecamm is going to feed that into Zoom, but then also any sound effects, music, stuff like that you've got. So if you did want to do something a little bit higher production value, maybe you've got some movie scenes or something like that in your Ecamm Live that you want to play in, or maybe you're doing a webinar or something like that you need to have music, sound effects, stuff like that. It's just going to mean that all of that is just going to go from Ecamm into Zoom. So it's a really great little feature. It just sort of completes that thing with the virtual camera, that now you really have like everything coming from Ecamm can feed into any of those other platforms. So the one thing that you may still need loopback for is if you do need sort of two-way audio coming back into Ecamm. And it's a bit of a niche case, this is. So I'm not sure that the majority of people are even going to need this, but just to cover it off in case. If you were doing something where, let's say you were running a Zoom call with people in there, but then you wanted to bring in a guest using interview mode in Ecamm Live, and you wanted to be able to feed all of the audio, obviously, from the interview and all the sound effects and stuff like that from Ecamm into Zoom. Obviously, we've got the virtual mic now, but if you wanted the guests in interview mode to hear the people that were talking in the Zoom meeting, then that's the bit that we wouldn't be able to do without loopback, because loopback's got to route that audio back from the Zoom meeting back into Ecamm so that your guests would be able to hear it. Another potential instance where you might need it is if you were going to actually live stream a meeting where using Ecamm, so you were actually going into Zoom and you wanted to be able to say take questions, and you wanted those questions to be audible in your live stream. So you say you're streaming to YouTube, but you've also got like a members only back channel or something like that, where you've got guests there and you're talking, but you're like taking questions from the Zoom meeting as well as part of the stream that's going out to YouTube or wherever it is, maybe a private Facebook group, something like that. And you wanted those questions that the people were asking to be audible, then you would need to have loopback to feed back from Zoom into Ecamm. But anyway, I'm interested to see what the further development is with Ecamm and Zoom, because certainly they seem to be talking a little bit. So it'll be interesting to see what comes out in the future in that respect, because certainly there's some amazing possibilities with Ecamm and Zoom, especially because Zoom recently bought out a company called Liminal who make Zoom ISO. And basically what that allows you to do with Zoom ISO, you can basically go and pull out any single person's feed in 1920 by 1080 that's coming in over the meeting, and then you can actually have that as an NDI feed. Now what that means is, and you can have up to 100 people, what that means is with this particular thing, you can basically have 100 people in a Zoom meeting. You can pull them all out individually, and technically you would then be able to create a scene in Ecamm with any one of those 100 people. So you could have like a panel of 10 people or 20 people or whatever, and then be able to bring those in. But that's getting off the topic of 3.10. That's just something that I've been playing around with, and it'll be interesting to see how that sort of develops as Zoom sort of develops Zoom ISO more than Liminal had already got it to. So anyway, a bit of a distraction there, but that's Zoom's one of my my things that I use Ecamm for quite a lot. So anyway, let's keep on track and on with what we're talking about today, and that is next up is overlays in terms of the updates. By the way, all of these actual updated features I've left in the description down below, so you can find them all in there, and obviously you'll see them when you go to update the software as well. So the next one though is for overlays. It adds fly-in options for images, animations, countdowns, camera overlays, and screen share overlays as well. So we did have some sort of fly-ins available for text overlays before, so you could have a text overlay fly in from the left or the right, but they've now added in fly in from the bottom, fly in from the top, and they've also added that in for the actual every other overlay, in fact. So if I was to come into my demo mode for a moment, and then I've obviously got my camera overlay here. So if I click on this little pencil icon, then you've got this new button here which says transition. So if I say transition and fly in from left, for example, and then if I was to just pop up to another shot for a moment, my over-the-shoulder shot, hello up there, and then come back to this one, then if I was to, in fact, no, I haven't set that one to hide. I beg your pardon. Let me just come here a minute. Well, that was a bit of a disappointing demo, wasn't it? It's like a firework that didn't go off. Hang on a minute. Here it is. It's when you hide it. There we go. So if I'd had it so that it was transitioning in when the scene starts, that should be flying in and out. Hang on a minute. Fly in from left. Now, that is interesting. Why is that not working? Just 1 second. Let me try that again. But this is a bit of a bad demo, isn't it? It's a good job they're not paying me to do this demo. Let me try it with another one, just 1 second, because this is a little bit peculiar. It was working perfectly fine for me. Now let me find out what is going on here. I've got a couple of little random things. Here we go, this red square. So if I transition this one from left and right, I am on the beta though, mind you. I wonder if that's it. No, oh, there we go. That's worked. So that one has transitioned in and out, and technically that should be happening with this camera, but for some reason with this camera it seems as though Is it because it's, I'll tell you what it is. It's perhaps because, is it because it's locked? That might be it. Let me try that again. If I change the transition, that's it. It's because I had locked the overlay. Ah, silly me. Let me try that again. There we go. That's what I was trying to show. So it was, as ever, with me, human error. It usually is human error with me. So let's just move swiftly on. But you can now add those transitions to absolutely everything that you've got, all of those different overlays. So you can have the camera overlays flying in and image overlays, all that sort of stuff. So it's just the transitioning in and out of those things. So next one we've got is overlays will now automatically align to other overlays when moved or resized from corners and edges. So let's just have a little look at that, shall we? And this one should hopefully work a little bit better. I'm resizing everything. You see, I went and unlocked my overlay and look what's happened. Righty-ho. Where is it? Here, this one. Okay, so I've got these two shapes here. And I've made them deliberately bold so that you can see what colors they are, so that you can see where they are. You'll notice as I move it up to the edge, we get this little blue snapping line up on the top edge, and as I move it down to the bottom, I get one on the bottom as well. So it's these little sort of snapping to edges that you've got. And that is basically for any overlays. They snap on the vertical plane and on the horizontal plane. Incidentally, there is a little adjustment that you can make to this. So at the moment, they are sticky, which means that if you move them into place, when they actually get to that edge, they will sort of lock in place. And as I move the mouse a little bit, you'll notice it takes a while for it to sort of snap out of that position. There is a setting in preferences, which is for where's my preferences gone? They've gone somewhere else. They're down here. There we go. See, I've got a bit too much stuff on my screen at the moment. In the preferences, so in the general tab, you've got automatic overlay alignment, and you can turn this off. So if you don't want it to be snapping to these edges and things like that, you can always turn it off. But there is another option. You can either have it sticky or snappy. And basically, sticky means you move them into place, and once you've got it into place, it will sort of lock it there. But if I change that to snappy, then basically snappy will you just move it close and it kind of like jumps into place. You'll see what I mean in a minute. So here, if I move it up, I just move it up to just close enough, and then it will just sort of move it the last little bit. It's a really subtle difference, but one of them basically is just going to do the work for you and just snap it into place. The other one is going to allow you to sort of position it right first, and then if it is snapped into place, then the sticky part just means that it's a bit harder to sort of unstick it once you've got them lined up. Sticky is the default, and I think that makes more sense, to be honest, because I do get quite frustrated when I'm trying to move something and then I didn't actually want it locked on, but it's just figured out like, oh, you're close enough, let me just snap it into place. So that is the difference between sticky and snappy in terms of those overlay alignment things that we've now got. So let me come back here for a moment, and where are we up to? So we've got, I've just lost my place in my little notes here. So this is one. Ability to hide and show overlays using hotkeys. So this is quite simple. We've had this before in other things, but in the overlays, in the scenes tab, here we've got these little symbols here with a little command symbol, which is a symbol for, I suppose, hotkey. So you can add a hotkey here, but we can also add a hotkey now for the overlays as well. So you'll notice next to all of the overlays, down on the, I'm looking one way, but it's actually over on this side. I should do that and pretend, but on my screen it's on the other side. But these things down the side are for adding hotkeys. So if you click on this, you can, let me just bring it where we can see it, shall we? You can just type in a hotkey. So if you aren't using a Stream Deck or anything like that, we could previously use hotkeys. So if you go into the scene, into the overlays, you would have some hotkeys that you can add in there, but you'd have to go and do them all sort of manually using some other software or using the Mac's built-in thing. But this just allows us to go through to any specific overlay and just add a hotkey for it. I think, have I come out of live demo mode? Yes, I have. This is what I'm trying to show you. So here you can see that just next to the particular overlay, we've got our little symbol here. So we can click on this one, and it can and we can just click in here and assign a hotkey. So you can basically assign a hotkey to any of the overlays that you've got. So let me have a look where we're up to now. So overlays positioned behind locked overlays can now be manipulated. This one is really useful, to be honest with you, because especially when you would have like an animated overlay. This one definitely needs another little demo. I'm going to be in and out of demo mode, so do shout out if I inadvertently I'm not in demo mode when I should be. So this is quite a big one really, and this is to do with, I've got to lock this scene again. Whoops-a-daisy. Let me lock my camera. I unlocked it. You see, that's the danger. As soon as you unlock something, it's bound to go wrong, isn't it? Right, so here's these two shapes. So the red one is above the blue one. And I can only move the blue one if my my little hand symbol to move it is over the blue part, but I can't move it when I'm obviously over the red part, because that's just going to move the red shape. Now, if you think about this red one, imagine this was like a big transparent overlay. Say it's I've got one, for example, for my Buy Me a Coffee, which takes up a lot of the screen, or I've got one for when like somebody subscribes or something like that, a widget overlay. So some of the overlays that we have are transparent, but they're taking up a lot of the screen. And previously, if you'd got anything that was sort of behind it in the stack, in the layers, you wouldn't be able to move the one that was beneath it. And so we'd have to sort of hide everything on the top to get down to the one at the bottom that we wanted to move. Well, now, really, it's a piece of cake, because all we have to do is, if the one on the top is locked, so in this case I've locked this red square, now I can still move the blue one that's behind it. But this applies to obviously any overlay. So if we have got some large transparent overlay on the screen, we don't have to do that little workaround of going and hiding it first and then moving the thing behind it and then unhiding the other one. We can now just, as long as all our overlays are locked, I mean, if we're being good Ecamm users and everything's totally locked, then it's a case of just unlocking the one thing that we want to move, and we will always be able to get to it no matter where it is in the scene. So that is a really great little feature add for my my estimations. So where are we now? So overlays, position behind, done that one. And the next one is adding in local JavaScript files as a widget overlay. So widget overlays, obviously had those for quite some time, and they allow us to add in. Previously, it was just sort of web widgets, so it'd go out to a web server somewhere, pulling in all the information, whatever, and putting it up on the screen. So something like a Buy Me a Coffee widget. But now basically, if you've got these created and have got some HTML widgets or JavaScript widgets that are on your computer, then you can actually just drag and drop the file in, and so they'll work just the same. So they're just running locally now. So that's a great little feature for those that use web widgets. And one last little thing on that, widget rendering has been updated to use M1 native version of Chromium Embedded Framework. I know you were all crying out for that. It's one of those things that probably you might not have known about it, but it's going to help with speeding up and performance and stuff like that. So yeah, I'm not sure the total significance of it, but I'm sure it's a welcome addition to some people. Righty-ho. So that is all there was for overlays. I say all there was. Some of those are pretty big in terms of speeding up the flow of actually using these tools. Next up is audio, and there was a few different things that were added in terms of audio. So let's have a look at the first one. So ability to play more than one sound simultaneously in the sound effects window. So previously, it just Ecamm Live treated any sound effect in the sound effects window, and that is to say music, sound effects. It treated those all exactly the same, and if one was playing and you went to try to play another one, then the first one would stop and start playing the second one, which is kind of logical really, because if you've got one piece of music playing and then you go and start playing another one, unless you're a super DJ and have started them exactly on time and they've both got the same sort of beats per minute, then it's going to sound pretty horrible, really. So that's why there was just this thing so that they never had that sort of overlapping. But now what they've done is they've added the ability to play more than one sound effect at any given time. However, they've done some little bit of clever coding where they've figured out the length of the track, and if they have assumed that it is music because it's some sort of long track, then they don't allow those to play over one another. Whereas if it is a short track, they'll allow those to play over the music, or they will allow them to play over one another. So how about I actually just come in and give you a little demo of this, shall I? So here we are in my sound effects, and I've got a piece of music here. So if I play that one, and then I've got a sound effect. Now, previously, if I was playing the music and then tried to play the sound effect, the music would stop just to play the sound effect. But now, I can play that over the music. But if I go to play another piece of music, then it's figured out that that first one was a long track, and so it must be music. So it's just stopping them from sort of overlapping one another. So yeah, another great little addition there, and it makes working with sound effects, if you've got some background music playing, but you want to have like a little whatever it is, air horn going off or some other sound effect. I don't really tend to use too many sound effects, do I? But I know other people do, so that will be a welcome addition for people who use those sorts of things in their live streams. Next ones, what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my little notes down here actually, because there's quite a lot of audio ones coming up. So I'm just going to go through them all right now, and it's probably easier to just do them all in live demo mode. So here we go. So it also adds next and previous track buttons to the sound effects playlist. So if you are playing a playlist, well, and by a playlist I actually mean a group. So in Ecamm you've got a group. If you have just add this little folder in down here. And so this creates a group. And then when you've got a group of audio tracks, you can either play them one by one, or you can play the whole group. And so if you play the whole group, it's going to start with the first one, and then it's going to work its way through them. But now with the little cogwheel just here, it's basically added these forward and backward tracks. So you can actually skip forward and backwards through the tracks like that. By the way, incidentally, this isn't a new feature, but there is also this little loop sound file icon here. Now that either applies to the individual track, so if I was to come into this individual track, I could loop that one, or if I was playing it rather than from playing it in here, I was actually playing it from the group itself, then clicking on that loop will actually just loop round through through all of them. So this is if you were going to have some sort of background music that's going to play through your entire live stream, and your live stream is longer than the combined length of the music, then that's what you do, have some sort of looping. Now they've added these here, but obviously these are a little bit fiddly to get to. But the next one down on the list is they've also added support for the play, pause, next, and previous media keys. So that means that on your Mac keyboard, maybe you've got F7 and F9 is skip forward, skip backwards, and F8 is play and pause. So now those keys, the Apple media keys, those all work for this as well. So you can actually just sort of control the music from there as well. The other thing is if I start one of those playing, you can also see that it now displays the remaining time on the track that is playing. So that is this one. Remaining time is now shown at the bottom. Now this is actually good if you are somebody who changes up if you do live streaming and you change up your intro music regularly and you want to know what to set your countdown timer to so that it's timed perfectly with the music. Well, this is now an easy way to do it. I always used to just actually add the time into the music. In fact, you can see here's one. So this is one that I use for my intro, and so I actually just named the file with the time in it so that I could see how long it was. But now you don't need to do that because Ecamm will just tell us. So if I wanted to know how long this track was, there you go, it's 3 minutes 50 seconds. So that's quite a nice little addition from just being able to get that information about the track. But obviously also if you are playing the music out or something, then you've got this little visual cue to know how long is left on it as well. So where are we up to here? So next one is, you can see there's quite a lot of things related to sound effects actually. So the next one is sound effects will now fade in and out when the sound effect mute setting changes. So if I was to come in here and press this stop, there's a slight fade. You may not have noticed it, but there is a slight fade. So there you go. It's that's what that is. It is a slight fade out on the sound effects. So the next one is adds a checkbox to enable echo cancellation when using external computer speakers. So there was always echo cancellation in Ecamm. So if I come into the settings for a moment, where are my settings gone? There they are. So in the audio section, we always had echo cancellation. And what that was for was if you were using your speakers on your Mac, say you'd got let's say you got an iMac with built-in speakers, something like that, and so you were not using in-ear monitors. Naughty person. Always wear in-ear monitors when you're using Ecamm. But if you weren't and you had this audio coming over your speakers, then there is a danger that that could sort of bleed back into your microphone, and then that could cause some slapback or just some generally bad audio quality. So the echo cancellation was so that if you were using your built-in speakers, it would remove that echo. However, what that didn't account for was if somebody had got some other form of external speakers that were plugged into your headphone jack, because Ecamm was assuming that if you'd got something plugged into your headphone jack, then it was headphones, so you didn't need echo cancellation. So there was no option there to do the echo cancellation. So if you are somebody who's got your Mac Mini headphone jack on the back, or iMac with a headphone jack, and you've plugged in some separate external speakers, you can now use this option here to enable echo cancellation for external speakers. So that's the distinction. One is basically speakers plugged into a headphone jack, and the other is for the built-in speakers on your Mac. So that is what that one is for. Perfectly logical, and you can see why they perhaps didn't think about that in the beginning, but it's just now just gives us that extra level. But again, use headphones. So then the next one is add setting for popover for scene sounds, including an option to keep playing a scene sound when switching away from the scene. Right, so this one is going to need a little bit of a demonstration. You know that you can assign a piece of music to a scene. Let's hope that you know that one. That is quite an easy thing to do. All you need to do is get the piece of music and just drag it onto the scene. And then now, anytime I go to that particular scene, this piece of music will play. Right, so you could always do that before, but what we couldn't do before was control anything about what happens when this music's playing. So what you can do now is you can actually adjust the volume. So if I click on the little cogwheel up here, I can adjust the volume of it in this particular scene. And then I can say, I want to stop it when this scene ends. So now if I was to go to another scene, let's say we go to my top-down scene, like that. And then I'll come back to that other one and the music will start playing again. Now the fly-in works. You'll see how the music has started again. Okay, so then the other thing about this, though, that is good is I'd set that one to stop when scene ends. But if I didn't do that, then the music would start playing on this scene. But then when I go to that other scene, then the music will keep playing. So there's that. But then there is another great thing about this, which means that you can actually, if you add the music into the, I'm just going to get rid of this fly-in. If you add the music into the other scene as well, so let's say I came into this particular scene here, and then I added the music in here as well. Unlock the scene like this. Whoops. So I add the music into this scene now as well. You'll notice that the volume can be adjusted separately. So now we've got the loud volume, and I'll turn the volume even lower on this one. But now if I come back to my main scene, come back to my main scene, and on this one I shall make the music louder, because what I'm trying to get to here is if you had like an intro scene, for example, with some music, and the music you wanted it loud, but then when you go to the next scene you want it to duck down, you can adjust this volume on a scene by scene basis. So on scene 1, let's say, I've got the music high like this, but then when I go to the next scene, it's faded it down to the level that it was at on that scene. And then in this case I've got it stop when scene ends, but I could equally leave that and then just go back to the other scene, and the music goes up again. Still didn't stop that transition somehow. That's because I didn't unlock my camera again. This lock camera is going to cause me some more issues by the end of the day, I know. Let me just do that. Oops. It's good we've got some little bit of music going on in the background, isn't it? There we go, musical interlude. So let me just show you what I was doing there again. If we've got the music on this one and we've got it set to this volume, and then on the next track we've got the same piece of music dragged in there and it's set to a different volume, and then come back to this one again and it goes up again. So it's basically a way to sort of simulate doing audio ducking effectively, but doing it sort of like manually. So that is what that final little feature of the audio was. It adds the settings, pop over for scene sounds, and includes the option to keep playing when switching away from the scene. But it also does include that separate volume slider. So that's not explicitly mentioned in the release notes, but that would allow you to do this ducking. So I can certainly see how somebody, as I say, could have like their intro music, then they want to go into like some initial intro where they're talking, maybe have it lower down while they're talking, and then go into the main body of their content, you know, whatever it is, where the music's just going to fade out completely, something like that. So that is how I see that being quite effective. And that just about wraps up the audio section of their updates. But yeah, quite a few good ones in there too. So let's move on, shall we, to scenes. A few updates in the scenes. So the first one is it adds a button in the scene window to create an automatic scene group. So this one, we've always had folders in, or groups I should say. They always look, I think of them as folders, but they're technically called groups in the scenes window. So let's have a little look at this, shall we? Zoom in again. Here we go. So down at the bottom of our scenes window, we've always had this one here to create folders, and what some people did was create a timer to automatically transition to a new scene, and so then you could create sort of multiple scenes within a folder, and then the timer would transition between them. Well, now what we've got basically is the ability to just do that automatically with this one down here, which is this automatic group. So if I just create an automatic group, I'll call it test. I have so many things on my computer called test. Let me duplicate this. I'll just call this scene 1. Now that is still, for some reason, popping out, isn't it? Let me just get to the bottom of why that's happening. It shouldn't be, because I thought I'd unlock the scene. Hang on a minute. Let me sort this out, because otherwise it's going to get a bit frustrating. Where is it? Unlock my camera. There we go. And then I'm going to click on the settings in here. Turn off that fly in. There we go. This is done now. So that shouldn't happen again. Okay, so let's say that this is scene 1. Get rid of that. Let's call this scene 1. Scene 1, and then let's say in scene 2 we want to duplicate it again, but we want it to just be a bit zoomed in. So obviously, you know, people sometimes do this, don't they? Have a little zoomed in. It could equally be just a completely different scene if you wanted to cycle between, you know, over the shoulder shot, front on shot, maybe you've got another shot somewhere else, whatever it is. So let me just make something different about this shot so that we can see it. Where are my camera effects? I'm just going to zoom in a little bit on this one. So there I am a bit zoomed in. And then I'll come back here and I'm going to just drag these two scenes that I've just created. I'm going to drag those down into my little test. They call it an automatic group. That is the term for this. It's called automatic group. And if I come over to this little cogwheel here, here you can set a time, and you can see it says advanced to, and then there's a drop down, but the default is next scene. And then the time interval is whatever you want it to be. And I'm just going to put this as 2 seconds. And then if I just press play on this automatic group here, if I press play, then what it should do is it should be flicking back and forth between those two. And you can see there's like a little clock whirring around next to it. So you can see like how long basically you've got until the next one, a little visual cue so that you could see, you know, is it likely to be switching over to the next scene soon? And so that's what that's for. I wouldn't recommend having it at set to 2 seconds. It's probably a little bit too fast paced. And in fact, it's a bit scary when it zooms right in on my face, isn't it? So that is what that's for though. At the moment, it is basically one time for all of the different scene changes. So it's not on a scene by scene basis. So if you wanted to do something where you'd got maybe, you know, 30 seconds on your main scene and then a shorter time frame on a second one, that would still at the moment have to be done with those countdown timers and do it that way. But this certainly just means that you can have a bunch of scenes and just sort of cycle between them. Now, if you have got lots of different scenes in here, you have also got the option, instead of advance to next scene, you can actually do random scenes. So if you've got like a collection of different cameras, something like that, I'm thinking of you, Keith Pelzer, then you could have it jumping around between all of them and choosing whichever, just choosing one at random from your list. So that is what that particular feature is. So let's come out of this demo mode for a moment, and I'll switch back to this one. And I've gone back to this scene that I hadn't corrected. Let me just quickly fix it on this one as well. That's the problem with duplicating scenes and making changes. I didn't make the change before I duplicated it. 1 second. There we go. I think I fixed that. I think what I'm going to do is I'll just finish off these ones for this scene section, and then I will jump into the questions, because I can see there's a few questions. So let's have a little look. Adds option for movie mode and animated overlays to pick up where a movie left off instead of playing from the beginning. So let's have a little look at this. And the remaining playback time is now displayed in the scene picker in the top corner of the main window. So let me show you what these ones are as well. And zoom in and come to this. What I think I'm going to do actually is if I just grab this, because I've been doing something with these things, just I'll talk about that in a moment, but I've got a little sample file that I can drop in. So if I come into here and I'm going to just create a new empty scene, and I will then just drag in this movie file, and I want to make sure you can still hear me. I want to mute my movie. So basically now we've got a few extra controls on the screen. So this is basically using a movie as a scene source, but this actually applies just as much to animations as well. Previously, the behavior was that the movie files, you could choose whether or not they auto-played. And in fact, that is done in here in the preferences. There is one in here for, is it in video? There you go. That is it. Video settings, and then you've got autoplay video files. So that is when switching to a video. So if you've got a video as a source of a scene, then the default always used to be to play like autoplay. But it would always play from the beginning. And so that meant that if you switch to another scene, and then switch back again, then you'd be starting to play the movie from the beginning again. So what they've added in is this little button down here, which disappears when I try and zoom in on it, but it's this one here. So you've either got start from beginning now, or you've got start from last position. And so start from last position is basically if I start playing this, and then I switch out from this scene, but then I try and go back to that scene, he says, finding the correct pedal on his under his feet. If I go back to that one, it's just basically picking up exactly where it left off, and it's stopping the movie from playing. But when I go back to it, it's now picking up from exactly where it left off instead. We've also got this other little button here that is exactly the same. So that's either do nothing, loop video, go to next scene, or end broadcast. So this always used to be over on this side, but this one is now being replaced. So this is the one that is what is controlling what is happening when it plays out, and this is what happens when it plays in. You'll also notice just up here at the top right-hand corner, sorry, the top left, it also tells you how much time is left on the movie that is playing as well. So that's what that last thing was on the list, which was remaining movie playback time is now displayed in the scene picker. So that's where the thing that is talking about. So what I'm going to do is just have a quick look through, because I've been rattling on for quite some time. I just want to see if I've missed anything in particular about the stuff that I've covered so far. The difference between, yes, sticky versus snappy. It's a very subtle thing. To be honest, I think most people probably wouldn't notice, but you know what I'm like, Keely. Hey, Sammy, great to see you. Let's have a little look. Hey, Aubrey, great to see you too. And Felicia. Oh, we've got all the lovely people in today. Let's have a little look. And Eileen, of course. Great to see you too. Michael, I know, yes, my DJing skills. I'm not known for my DJing skills. Hey, Rich. David. The Nashville Life. Hello, the Nashville Life. What's your name? Just so that I can address you properly. Can you use AirPods for in-ear monitors, or is there too much of a Bluetooth lag? You can use AirPods. It's always recommended to use wired headphones whenever you use your headphones, but you can use them. I don't know about the lag, to be honest. Oh well, here we go. This is the benefit of having awesome people. So let's have a little look. I'll be honest with you, I thought that Keely had got I was reading ahead and I thought that was going to be the answer there, but because I know that Keely sometimes uses AirPods. So hey Paul, great to see you, and Caleb, great to see you too. Is that about the lag? Perhaps. Let's have a little look. If that's about the lag, then that's good to know. When I'm live streaming, how do I add a wrench to somebody that I want to watch the chat for me? Right. Let me show you how to do that very quickly. Let me come over here, and I will go to this screen sharing a minute. So in your YouTube chat, if you go next to any person's name, you'll see these little dots. And so you just click on the little dots, and then you've got the options: either go to their channel, pin their message, report, remove, put user in timeout, hide user on this channel, but it's this one you're looking for, Michael, which is add as moderator. And so that's how, like anybody in the chat, you can just go through and click on them and either add moderator, or, you know, if Keely started stepping out of line, then I could remove moderator status. But to be honest, I daren't do that. So let me come back. But that's how you do it. Let's have a little look. Right. So Keely only uses AirPods, not when actually streaming. Got you. No, sir. About the next scene, putting it at 0-1 interval. You mean speeding up a bit? I see. Right. Yes, that might be a little bit too quick. A little bit too quick. So that is all for the scenes, though. So what I'll do is I'll get going. But before I do get going, if you want to learn more about Ecamm Live, I have, and specifically this version, I have now created my Ecamm Live Masterclass. So I'll just touch on that for a moment, because the Ecamm Live Masterclass came out of, for those that have been following along, my Zoom Masterclass. My Zoom Masterclass was going to have a massive section of Ecamm Live, because that's how I recommend people get the best results out of Zoom. And then as I was building out all of the videos for my Zoom Masterclass, but all the Ecamm videos, I realized that was really such a massive part of it that it warranted being a thing in its own right, really. So that is why I ended up creating the Ecamm Live Masterclass. So it's ecammlivemasterclass.com. That actually just redirects you to my main website, which I'll be talking about later, because I've done a little bit of redesigning of that as well. But it's another reason why I did it is because I've got this really long video on my channel, and it's actually one of my most popular. It's 4.5 hours long, and it's my Zero to Hero with Ecamm Live, and that was done in version 3.8, and then we've since had version 3.9, and now version 3.10 has come out. So there are quite a few changes. So I wanted to make sure I've got some resource where I know that everything's always going to be up to date. So the Ecamm Live Masterclass is basically, it's fully up to date with version 3.10. So it's everything that we're talking about here and all of the existing features as well. But in addition, as Ecamm Live develops, then this will be one resource that is continually updated. So I'm going to maintain this. Any new updates that come out, the content will be constantly updated and fresh. It's also not repurposed content. So I haven't just gone and taken a load of old YouTube videos and thrown them together to create a course. I have actually made all new content for this so that it's all consistent and it's all up to date. So let me just quickly show you this while we're here. So this is what you'll see. The Ecamm Masterclass once you actually sign up, and basically it's all on demand, so it's not like a thing where you have to be there at a specific time. There's no Zoom calls associated with it. It's all just purely on demand. And I've got 12 categories. So first of all, we cover the basics. So that's it's obviously taking people from completely new beginners at Ecamm Live all the way through to, everything, as you'll see as I go through the different topics. So we've got the basics, then talking about using Ecamm Live for live streaming, then using Ecamm Live specifically for recording, then using Ecamm Live for meetings. So in that one, I go into things like, using it with Zoom, using it with Microsoft Teams, using it for Discord as well. Next, we go on to interview mode. So all of the things about that. There's a lot more to interview mode than just bringing people on. You can also use it to, for example, have people guest presenting. So where you're bringing their camera in, but then their slides in as well. Or it could be that you're actually just producing something for somebody where you're not even involved in the actual, on-screen hosting of it. You can use interview mode to bring somebody in, bring their slides in. So if you are somebody who's maybe working with somebody else and you just want to present their content for them, or you want to do some freelance work, sort of doing this for other people, then you can do all of that with interview mode. Have it feeding out to their Zoom webinar or wherever it needs to go. And so there is a lot more into interview mode than just the sort of the basic features that you might be aware of, bringing someone onto your live stream. So that warrants a section in itself. There's another section on advanced use of all of the other features. So the advanced use goes into some of the stuff that we cover in the basics, but then goes into them a little bit deeper. But then also it adds in some of the new features and additional features that maybe you just wouldn't really cover in advanced usage. Now let me just quickly drop something in the chat, because it's a little secret squirrel thing for anybody in the chat. There we go. So then the next one is using it with presentations. So for Ecamm Live, one of the main uses that I use it for is with Zoom calls and Teams meetings. And a lot of the time that involves actually presenting either things in presentation format, obviously not just slides with me as a talking head in the corner talking about it, but immersive presentations I'm talking about, and still using Ecamm with PowerPoint, with Keynote, but doing it in a much more sort of natural and immersive way. So I've got a whole section that is specifically about that. Next section is specifically about preferences and menus. So just going through all the preferences. I obviously talk about them in all of the different sections. So where we're talking about things that relate to preferences, then I do cover them off in there as well. But it is useful just to have as a sort of go-to guide where you can just go and see, like, well, what are all of the different preferences and find them out there one by one. And obviously as Ecamm goes forward and gets updated, then I'll be keeping this up to date as well. So just like in this update, we've had a few changes and updates in the preferences section, you'll know that this is always a resource to go to where you're going to have the the latest information on how to use it properly. Next is Stream Deck and Loop Deck. So obviously I'm a user of both of those. So I talk about, what they are, how to use them, how to set them up, some best practices, how to create icons for them, all that sort of stuff as well. Creating graphics with Keynote. We can do an awful lot now with Ecamm, and we don't need to create, sort of overlays with borders and things like that as we used to do. However, there are still a lot of things that we could do with Keynote for, like lower thirds, for example. So if I wanted to say something like this, if you're liking this video, then where is it gone? Then you can always head over to my Buy Me a Coffee page. So that little animation is something that I made with Keynote. If you want to be talked through that one-on-one, then I do offer consultation calls. So that is another little overlay that I created in Keynote. So I cover how to build those sorts of graphics. So then we carry on, and in the next section, there is a section on-screen skills. So I do make all of my videos in one take. Obviously, this is a live stream, but all my other videos I make in one take. All of the course content I've made with Ecamm Live, and that has also all been done in one take. And so some of this has come from sort of presentation skills that I've had from other areas of my life, and then also some public speaking experience and things like that. So this is the section where I sort of share some little tips on how you can basically improve your sort of on-screen presence. Maybe if you're somebody who doesn't feel comfortable in front of the camera, then this section is going to help out with that. And then finally, sort of a next steps. And although those are, only 12 sections, hopefully you can see that they cover quite a lot. But actually, when you dig into them, in fact, here you go. There are 70 lessons up there at the moment. I have got another 35 5 to upload. Most of those are done. I just was too busy building the website yesterday, if you want the honest truth. So most of the others are done. I'll be uploading them later today, and then the rest will follow either today or tomorrow. But so this is just going into the basics section, and you can see how many videos there are in here and the way that I've split up these sections. So first of all, tour of the user interface for people who are completely new to Ecamm Live. Then we go to intro to overlays, camera overlays, image overlays, animated overlays. So I've split it down literally into all of the different components. So if there's something that you want to know about, then as I say, you can always just go back in here and look and find the resource. And as Ecamm gets updated, then guess what? As they update the screen share overlays, for example, you'll always know where to go to find out, what the latest features are or if you're using it correctly. So there's really quite a lot of content. And then basically for each of these ones, so like if I was to go into the overlays section, for example, and have a look at, we want to know something about animated overlays. So you click into here, and then it's basically just loads up all the videos for that section. This one's around about 13 minutes long, and so we can just play it from there, and you can watch it in there. Look, you can see I even put a shirt on for you. And then there's all the other videos in that particular section, so you can just sort of work your way through them. And it does tell you as well, sort of, I've just noticed some little lorem ipsum text there. As you can see, still got a couple of little adjustments to make. But basically, it's yeah, you can see how much of it you have completed. So if you just sort of work through, you'll know how far you are through completing it. So that's basically what is involved in the course, and I'll drop a link in the chat as well. In fact, I see Keely's already done it, and it will be in the description. But it's $147, and that's lifetime access for all the updates for for all of the future updates of Ecamm as well. I'll just constantly keep this up to date as a resource. I am still releasing my Zoom Masterclass, which will come probably end of next week. But then anybody who buys this will just automatically get this off the cost of the other one as well. So there's nothing to worry about there, that people would be getting this free with the Zoom Masterclass. But if you buy this one, then I'll just discount that from the Zoom Masterclass. So that is just my little aside. If that is of interest to you, then definitely head over to Ecamm Live Masterclass.com, or you can head over to my website. I'll be talking more about the website a little bit later as well, because I have made some changes to my Take One Tech website. You can also find this there, so you can always just go to takeonetech.io and head over to the store page, and you'll find this course there and the other courses that I've got planned to roll out over the coming weeks, and then also all of my icon packs and stuff like that. Or you can go over there and book a call with me as well. So that is the Ecamm Live Masterclass. I'll just see if there are any questions popping up related to that. Let's have a little look. So thanks, Keely, for popping the link in. So Caleb, you were one of the gluttons for punishment who watched my 4-hour tutorial. The reason why I made that 4-hour tutorial is because basically the course should hopefully resolve this, that you have got one place that you know where everything is and you can see how far you've got through it. I always found when I was trying to learn things, if I went over to YouTube for something that was more complicated, like a piece of software, then you would end up sort of not knowing if you'd covered everything off. So there's loads of great videos online about all sorts of things. But if I'm wanting to learn something, then I always think, like, did I miss something? Because I've watched all these little snippets of videos, 10-minute videos here, 5-minute videos there, and stuff like that. Did I actually get everything that I need to know, or is there anything missed? And so that's why I created that 4.5-hour video, and it's been quite popular. I wondered if anyone would watch it, but yeah, apparently you and some other people have as well. And just taking people through a sort of logical process. But the course removes the problem of basically that 4-hour course, that 4-hour video is now totally out of date, because it's telling people if you want to make borders like I've got here, for example, you need to do that in Keynote, whereas you don't at all. You can now just do that in Ecamm. So having it as a course structure that I can just keep up to date just made totally made sense. Let's have a little look. Thanks, David. And hello, Dole Whip Dad. What's your name? I always like to get people's names so that I can address them properly. And yeah, Keely makes a very good point. Whoops-a-daisy. Wrong one, but thank you very much, Paul, for pointing that out. Yeah, I will be on Doc's stream, which is being taken over by the lovely Keely for the next, I think, 3 live streams, in fact. So we'll be talking about the Masterclass, but also talking about Discord as well. So yeah. Oh, thank you, Felicia. Appreciate that. So with that little aside out of the way, obviously, if you are interested in the Masterclass, you can always head over to ecammlivemasterclass.com. But for now, let's just crack on, shall we, with the other updates for Ecamm. And so let me see where they are. There we go. Whoops-a-daisy. Oh, there was my cue to talk about the Ecamm Live Masterclass. I missed my slide. Never mind. Streaming. So what changes have they made related to streaming in Ecamm Live? Let's have a little look, shall we? It is, so there we go. So they've added support in for OneStream as a live streaming destination. So OneStream is basically, if you're familiar with Restream.io or the other one, which always escapes my memory. There is another one. I always previously used Restream. Well, now they've added in OneStream. If you are an Ecamm Live user, then you can head over to the perks page, because there is a discount, which I think is 25%. So if you want to use OneStream or check it out, then there is a perk on the Ecamm Live page. By the way, if you sign up to the Ecamm Live Masterclass, my Masterclass, I've also got an offer code on there that you can get if you want to try out Ecamm Live. You get the regular trial, but then I've got an offer code that you get the first 2 months free. So if you're not an Ecamm Live user, you can use that, and then basically you'll start the billing cycle, but you don't get billed for the first 2 months. And so that means that you've got an extra 2 months basically to try it out, and you can cancel at any time. But that is a digression. The OneStream Live is the live stream, the multi-streaming platform that allows you to go out to, if you want to stream out to your Facebook, your YouTube, and Twitch, or wherever it happens to be, all at the same time, then you can use OneStream to do that. There's a bit of a debate about whether people should stream to multiple different platforms. Everyone's got their own opinion on it. When I started my YouTube channel, I just thought, I want to reach the maximum audience, so let me stream to all of the places. So I promptly set up accounts with all the different platforms, and set up Restream and started streaming to all of those different places. But I've kind of come to the conclusion that it is best not to fragment your audience, and everyone can all be together and talking together. So I haven't used Restream for the past, I think, nearly a month now, something like that. So I'm just really just only going out to YouTube. But anyway, that is up to you. The other thing that has been added is that Twitch chat badges have now been added to the comments window. So perhaps these were not there before, or obviously they were not there before, but now Twitch chat badges have been added to the comments window, so that if people are using those things in Twitch, then they will come through on your chat. Another one which I know has caught a few people out, so it's good that this is there. It adds support for automatically complying with Amazon Live's video bitrate requirement. So this is related to, there is an Amazon Live built in, obviously, to the destinations in Ecamm. So we've obviously got Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, all those sorts of things. There isn't an Amazon Live destination there. However, if you're going to stream from Ecamm to there, you would use the little acronyms slipping my mind now. Not I want to say SMTP, but that's not. It's RM. The streaming key. If you stream to Amazon Live, you'll know what I mean. The streaming key feature on Ecamm, so that you can stream to that destination. Well, now it will figure out if you are streaming to Amazon Live, because they've got some particular bitrate requirement for that that sometimes would cause problems if people were trying to use Ecamm to stream to Amazon Live. So now basically Ecamm is doing the figuring out part for you, and will make sure that bitrate is all correct. And so that is what they've added in. RTMP. Thank you very much, Eileen. I've been sorting out my email since I moved over my my website from Squarespace to Kajabi, where I've been setting up my new website and all the core stuff. I seem to have broken my my email, so I've been fixing that yesterday. So I had SMTP on my mind. But yeah, RTMP is the one. I've just noticed. Hello, Dale. Just noticed you jump into the chat. Hello, great to see you. And so that is it for the streaming updates. So next up is shortcuts. And this is an entirely new section, really, because they've now added integration with the Mac Shortcuts application. And if you aren't using shortcuts, then, well, you're in for a treat with that. It has been on iOS for quite a long time now, but now they've finally brought it over to the Mac as of Monterey. I did do a series all about shortcuts. And in fact, I've got some more videos to make in that series, talking about all the sorts of different things that you can do with shortcuts. But basically, it allows you to do automation on the Mac, and it's quite a nice little interface that allows you to basically create all sorts of different automations. So let me just, he says, scrambling for the preferences. Let me just share with you the preferences once more, and I will show you what I'm talking about. So, whoops-a-daisy. Have I... No, I don't think that did anything. Hang on a minute. I thought for a minute I'd pressed the wrong button, but I didn't press any button. There we go. So here we are with the preferences. So now we've got this completely new section of the preferences, which is this shortcuts over on the top right. And here what we've got is you've got the ability to trigger different shortcuts when certain things happen. And I'm guessing that as things progress with Ecamm, this is only going to get built out and get more powerful. So if you've got any ideas for particular triggers that you might want to see in terms of Ecamm, then definitely go over to the beta group and drop them in there, because I know that they are looking to see, how this can all be developed further. But basically, at the moment, we've got 4 different triggers in Ecamm. So the first one is when Ecamm Live opens, we can trigger a shortcut. So one thing that you might want to do in here is, let's say, when it opens, and this, by the way, is just going to bring up all of your shortcuts. So this is all the different shortcuts that I've got at the moment in my shortcuts app. So if I was to click in here, you could say that I want to say quit apps. Personally, I wouldn't do this because I leave Ecamm Live open all the time. So Ecamm Live opening and quitting aren't going to be ones that I use, but I'm just giving you an example. If you are someone who opens up Ecamm Live only to do your live stream, then you might want it to quit a whole load of apps. So I've set up a shortcut, quit apps, which closes down things that might chew up bandwidth or processor and stuff like that. So that would be the workflow for this. Then maybe when your broadcast starts, maybe then you want to make sure you're in do not disturb mode. So you could create a shortcut, which is do not disturb on. And then when your broadcast finishes, let's say you want to turn your do not disturb off. So you create a shortcut which turns do not disturb off. And then let's say when Ecamm quits, you want to open up all of those apps that you just closed down. So these are these options that you get here will be specific to you. So that is because I have actually been and created a shortcut that I've called quit apps. I've created a shortcut called do not disturb on, do not disturb off, and open apps. So it can only use something that you've created. Ecamm can't do this for you. This is all just leveraging the power of shortcuts. As I say, I have got an intro to shortcuts, a beginner's guide to shortcuts on the channel, but also check out, there was a great live stream that Doc did with Matt Casinelli that was it was his regular hour spot that went on for 3 hours and did a really deep dive. Matt Casinelli is just awesome with shortcuts. He was, I believe, marketing manager or somebody at least at the company that was Shortcuts before Apple bought Shortcuts. So yeah, he's got bags of experience and huge resources there. So I'm not going to cover in this live stream how to actually create shortcuts because, as I say, I've done some of that already on the channel. But that's just to know that now we've got that in Ecamm. So you've got all these different triggers. So what you might want to think about as well is what other triggers might you want to have. Some things might be, like when a guest joins, or it might be when you switch to a specific scene. Maybe you want something to happen then. And with shortcuts, you can do all sorts of crazy stuff. I mean, you can have it linked to things like if this, then that. You can have it linked to lights that you've got, if you want it so that when somebody gives you a thumbs up or a like or something on the channel, maybe you want to have some light flash or something like that. There's no end of possibilities of what you can do with shortcuts. It's just a case of thinking about the triggers that we potentially want to put in as requests for Ecamm to add in. So let's keep going though and have a look at a few other of these things that have been added in. So that was shortcuts. So then the next section is really the sort of last but not least in terms of the updates, and that is other. It's all of the other ones that did not fall into any of those categories, obviously. One of them is add calendar selector to the scheduling Windows date picker. So before, you could always just go in and type the date in the scheduler. So if you were scheduling something, whereas now it's just included that sort of, I'm sure you're familiar with a calendar picker before, when you can select the date like that. So that is one of them. Next one is function keys F1 to F12 can now be used as hotkeys. So before, when you could select specific, hotkeys and things like that, those you just weren't able to use those, whereas now you can. Next one is connected iOS devices will not start running as a video source until they're picked in the switcher or used in a scene. So it used to be that when you'd plug your iPhone or iPad or whatever in, then it would almost just sort of jump straight away to start the video source from it, whereas now you actually have to manually sort of specify that, so it doesn't just start streaming it straight away. And then let's have a little look. I've just skipped forward in my little notes, or back. So updated the Loop Deck plugin and the Stream Deck plugin with support for those automatic scene groups. So those ones that automatically cycle through. Now you can just actually have a Stream Deck button, which you would expect really to be able to actually just start that. So let's say you'd created one of those automatic groups. So if you remember, that was this thing that's basically just flicking between these two different scenes. This one. Well, now that actual automatic group, I happen to have called it test. So now I could just actually select that particular automatic group from the Stream Deck or from Loop Deck. The other thing that they've added in is also the ability to switch profiles. So this is something that I had previously been doing with a keyboard Maestro shortcut, so that when it was part of my sort of workflow. So when I'm switching over to make my Take One Tech videos, I'd press a button and it would do the thing of actually switching my Ecamm profile back to my Take One Tech, and then you could switch to other profiles. You obviously can't do this when you are live, but because you don't want to be switching profiles when you're live. But they have now just added a Stream Deck button. So you will need to just update your Stream Deck, but you'll be prompted to do this when you actually log in. Let me just get that little thing out of the way of the corner. There we go. So now in Stream Deck, look, I've deleted one of my buttons just to leave a little space to show you. Down at the bottom, I can say this every time, but look how many actions Ecamm have put into the Stream Deck. I mean, it's so amazing that they've just totally embraced it. There's a few others that I want to see in there. One of them is turning on and off video monitor, if you're watching. I've got to drop that in the chat for the beta group, because I do have a shortcut to do that. So at my virtual monitor, or what's it called, video monitor, that I have for my to go out to my teleprompter from Ecamm, so putting the Ecamm video out, I do have a keyboard Maestro one for that, so we could have a built-in one. But here you can see that just down at the bottom we've got this new one here, which is switch profile, and then you just drag that in, and then you can just pick. It will just, obviously, you know how this works by now, surely. It just pulls in a list of all of your different profiles. So these are all my different profiles, and then I can just pick one of those, and it will just switch to it. You can also obviously use this as part of a multi-action. So if you have got a particular setup procedure or things like that, then you could just add this all into a multi-action, so that it switches profiles, does all the other stuff, and or another good one is actually if you've got profiles on your Stream Deck. So this is my Ecamm profile. You could actually have it on the button that you use to switch to the Ecamm Stream Deck profile. Could also at the same time have this multi-action to switch to your Ecamm profile on Ecamm as well. So that would be another way to incorporate that. But in any case, let me come back to you. So that is almost the last one. We've got two others. So first of all, Ecamm Live now uses version 5.1.1 of NewTek's NDI framework. So that's just keeping things up to date with the latest movements in, or developments, I should say, in NDI. And the last one is add support for voiceover accessibility. Apparently, so this is something that's not needing this myself is something that's one of these things that you just don't know about if you don't need it. But apparently there are a lot of people who are using the voiceover because they're visually impaired, and it's actually made Ecamm accessible for them, where other software that does similar things is just not. And I heard Ken and Glenn talking about this on their live stream that they did yesterday, and yeah, it was just really nice to hear really that they're putting in this thought and attention to it, and it is actually making a difference to people using it. So that is all for the updates. As I say, all of these different updates are included in the description for this video. Go and get the update and have a little play around with it. And now what I want to have a little talk about is, if I've got my slide, is my website update. So I have made really a complete rethink of the website. In fact, before I come into this, let me just double check if I've missed anything in the chat, because there may have been some questions about that. Let me have a little look. I think I caught most of them. Cool. Oh, well, I think I probably missed Michael, but if I didn't, good night, good evening for you. Keely will add a vote for the video monitor. Yes, it is. It's just an extra little step, isn't it? So Paul, you had a little fix with the Ecamm Live not communicating with Stream Deck. I had that on and off. In fact, was it my last live stream? Yeah, I didn't live stream last week, but then the week before I did it without my Stream Deck because I had this communication issue, and there was no fix for it for me. It just rectified itself. I tried everything. I tried changing the cables. I tried changing the ports. I tried rebooting. I tried doing all of these other things. I tried resetting the PRAM, which was always an old school thing that we used to do on Macs, and then I only discovered afterwards that the M1 Macs don't have PRAM. But anyway, I tried literally everything, and nothing I could do would make them talk to each other. And I had it running with just the Mac, with just only the Stream Deck plugged in, swapping the cables around, doing all of the usual stuff. And yet nothing fixed it, and then it just miraculously started working again. And then it had it again. I've had it sort of 3 times where it's happened. So I'm not quite sure what's going on there, but if you've had the fix put out, then that's good, because it's all working now, as you can tell. So I'm pleased about that. But yes. So anyway, let me get onto the website, because I've made a few changes. So I'm always interested in thoughts and feedback. Whoops, daisy, wrong one. I'm always interested in feedback on these sorts of things. So let me come over to my website and what my plans with it are as well. So I should have had this queued up, shouldn't I, really? I thought I did have, but never mind. Now, that's interesting. It's actually coming up exactly as it was before. Where am I? Getting myself all lost now. I should have definitely had this up ready. Let me try this one. That's interesting. It appears that it is coming up exactly as it was before to my Squarespace one. What's going on there? Let me just come up a minute. I'll try again. Oh, well, this is very strange. Let me try with a private window. Let me see if that works. That would be a bit annoying if it's suddenly decided to revert back to how it was. Just bear with me 1 second. Very odd. Ah, there we go. I wonder why that's happening. Maybe it's just cached in my computer. Maybe that's what it is. Right, so perhaps it's just to answer your question, Felicia, there certainly is. Leave it with me. I'll message you on the back channel and let me know what your colours are, and I'll sort that out. Let's have a little look. Whoops, daisy. Where's it gone? It's this one. Right. So here we go. So that is what my site used to look like. This one. So I've basically just completely revamped it. And the reason is the course content that I've created, I'm making in Kajabi. And so rather than and any sort of with this course and my Zoom Masterclass and stuff like that, I am going to be doing some promotion where I'm going to be using Facebook ads and stuff like that. So previously I always used to use ClickFunnels for things like that. For my sales funnels and for advertising and things like that, I would use ClickFunnels. And then in this case, for my Take One Tech website, I had Squarespace, because it's pretty faultless really, and really easy to use and never goes down. I've used Squarespace for years. However, when I started looking at doing course content and was recommended to Kajabi by the wonderful Carly, it was just really amazing that everything is all in one place, and it's very intuitive, very easy to use, and very easy to build out these sorts of things. I say very easy. I mean, I found it very intuitive and easy to use. It sort of fit in line with my the way that my brain works, though that might be a little bit backwards sometimes. But anyway, so yeah, I have just sort of completely revamped the website, and so if in the coming days some things might not quite work, that is why. It's because it is still a work in progress. In literally this last sort of week, I've put everything together with the course and all this sort of stuff. So, but basically, I've now my store. All of the links that I had before should still work. So my store still goes to my store page, except my store now, as well as my digital downloads. So where before I had my my icon pack, so I've got my Zoom icon pack, Ecamm Live, YouTube Player, all those sorts of things. That one's missing an image, isn't it? It was all right the other day. Never mind, I'll have to fix that. So yeah, although I've still got those digital downloads that are available, but then all of my courses will be coming in here. So there's the Ecamm, then the Zoom Masterclass will be coming next week. Then I'm also adding in, there'll be one about Stream Deck, and then one about Keyboard Maestro and productivity on the Mac and all that sort of stuff. So I've got basically 5 different courses that I'm sort of planning out to build out. So those will all be available there. My redirect link. So I always used to say, like, you know, if you're interested in trying out Ecamm Live, go to my website /Ecamm. So now what happens is I haven't quite figured out the redirect, because previously you could do URL remapping in Squarespace, but you can't do that in Kajabi. By the way, I'm talking about the functionality of all of this because I'm going to be doing some videos about Kajabi going forward as well. So my live stream next week will be focused specifically on Kajabi. So that's why I'm talking about some of the intricacies of actually setting this up. It's rather than just have a look at my website. So with Squarespace, you used to be able to do URL remapping. So that was where you had like takeonetech.io/Ecamm, and then I could automatically have that go to my affiliate link for Ecamm. So you can't actually do that in Kajabi itself. You would have to use a third-party service, something like Rebrandly or something like that. I don't use that at the moment, and I just didn't have time to set it up. So for the time being, what I did was I basically just had this instead, so that each of my redirect links goes to a page. And then I'm thinking what I'll do is I'll actually talk more about the product or whatever that I'm linking to there. So same for my TubeBuddy link. In fact, I had them on the screen earlier as well, didn't I? So this thing at the bottom where I've got my links. So TubeBuddy. I'm just realizing that I've got /kit on my lower third down there, and I don't think I've set that one up. So this one would come through to that. So that was just one sort of caveat with the website, is that my affiliate redirect links are now basically going to a page and then a link out for that. So it's not totally ideal, but perhaps there is room for some extra information and stuff like that that I can give related to those services there. You also find my Discord link is right at the top. So takeonetech.io/Discord, or you can just go to my website and it's up there in the top menu. So that'll take you to my Discord server. There is not a huge amount going on there over there at the moment, but I've set up the bones of it, but I won't go over that today because that's what we'll be talking about on Doc's stream tomorrow. I say Doc's stream run by the wonderful Keely. So I've got so much information from Keely about, you know, how to set up the server and all that sort of stuff, and still plenty more to learn. So in fact, if you could drop the Discord for Creators link into the chat, that would be great. Yeah, I'm looking to really sort of build that out as the sort of main hub of the, you know, community associated with the channel. And then obviously as people are doing courses and things like that, having that as being the hub for any resources relating to that. So although the courses are sort of pre-recorded, learn at your own pace, learn in your own time, still having that sort of interaction being on the Discord, I felt like it was a good way to go. Because I know that if you do just doing a course where it's all on Zoom or something like that, then if you can't make any of the sessions, you miss out. But then if it's only an online course only, then potentially you are, you know, missing out on the interaction or any sort of, you know, hand-holding that you might need along the way in implementing the course. So that's the idea behind the Discord, is it's going to be sort of the accompaniment to that. And so we'll have separate channels set up when I figured it out. We'll have separate channels set up for the different courses and stuff like that. So there'll be still that sort of community aspect around those courses in there. And then, once you have, if you go and buy a course or something, then you have a library section, which basically has got all of the things that you've got in just one place. So that is the website update. So that's where I am with that. As I say, still a work in progress. I still think that I might have broken my email. Some things are not quite working with it, but I'll get that all fixed today as well. So let me just have a quick catch up. Hey, Noel. Great to see you from Puerto Rico. Let me move this chat up a little bit. There we go. Which is amazing. Global connections. Isn't the internet wonderful? So let's have a little look. So yeah, that's basically my update on what I've been doing this week. I normally do my update on my 365 videos in a year. I haven't actually been in and checked my stats or checked my video count or anything like that. So I haven't got anything ready for that. But I'm definitely further behind because obviously the last 2 weeks I haven't done any videos. But I'm also actually really reconsidering what the scope of that goal is, because I'm now just focused on still producing content for the channel, but also producing the content for the courses and stuff like that. So I'm just trying to think about how I want to try and find the balance between all of that. So so this week I've made 70 videos that are up, and then I've made another I think about 20 that I've got to upload today, and then I've got another about 10 to make. So there's still plenty of content going out. It's just sort of a lot of it is going up onto the course. But once I finish the course, then I'll divert my attention back to the the channel and posting more content there. And obviously I don't just want to have everything like suddenly moving everything behind a paywall as well. I do want to make sure that it's still keeping everything up to date on the channel as well. But certainly the way that still pressing the wrong Stream Deck buttons. The way that I saw that is that the courses are more sort of just to give that like organizational aspect to it, so that things are all neatly organized and an evergreen resource as well for people who sign up to those. But then the channel is obviously still doing all of the things. I've always found it difficult with the channel to have a clear sort of line flowing through things, because I tend to do, there's some stuff on Stream Deck, then I'll do some stuff on Ecamm, and then I'll do some stuff on Keyboard Maestro and stuff like that. And so I find that, if I'm thinking about like just looking at the content as a flow, sometimes it's difficult for me to have a consistent stream, I suppose, is what I'm getting to. So like, although I did do my shortcut series, I just did 6 days of it or 7 days of it in a row. So I do want to get back to just doing things like that, so that they are in sort of almost like little mini series and stuff like that. But in any case, what I'm going to be doing next week, though, is apart from being obviously with Keely tomorrow on Doc's channel, then next week is also just finishing off the Zoom Masterclass and getting that one up. And so I might be a little bit slack with the YouTube videos next week, just trying to fit all of that in. But then after that, then I should be getting back up to full speed with the the YouTube stuff. I'll stick this up, by the way, just in case anybody fancies joining. It's been going quite a long while now, actually. But if anyone does fancy jumping on for a chat about anything related to the latest update, at what you've found interesting or useful with Ecamm, then you can always jump on. I've changed my link, by the way. So I did have a takeonetech.live URL. So I've used that one just so I don't have to handle this redirect issue that I've got with Kajabi. So takeonetech.live/join if anyone fancies jumping on for a chat. If not, I'll be happy to go and spend some time with the kids. But otherwise, let me have a little look. How is the purposeful mission going? So if that is which mission is that now? I'm wondering if that is the 365 videos in a year mission. Yeah, I'm wondering about how that's all going to pan out, to be honest, because obviously I'm spending a lot of time creating content for the behind the paywall side of the channel, so I have to have a bit of a think about that. I'm a bit of a binge creator. To be honest, that's how it has felt this week. I basically the reason why my Zoom course has been delayed is because I had a load of stuff that came up with my my full-time work that I do, and that just sort of got in the way between in the way of the Zoom stuff. And creating the course was not something that I could do by just sort of sitting down for, like popping out one video or two videos or something like that. I did feel like I needed to block some time for it, because I needed to make sure that there definitely was that complete flow. Whereas although I can make the videos in one take, no problem, you sometimes lose the flow of it if you're doing like one day, 2 days later, or whatever, trying to fit them in around it. So when you're doing something like a course, you really want it to feel like, if somebody's going to watch one video after another, this is the way I view it, this is the way that I would want to make it, is that they feel that you are, that you're just talking them through it at the pace that they're going through it. So I just hadn't had these blocks of time since the beginning of the year to just finish it all off, basically. But what I have done is this last week, I just completely blocked out the time for doing this stuff, and next week I've done the same. Apart from a few meetings that I've got, I've basically just now said, right, well, I'm going to dedicate the time and be intentional about actually creating all of the course content. So that's been the change that has allowed me to do it. But the reason for me starting the channel in the first place was to just get better at this process of sitting down and making videos in one take. So there is no edits or anything like that in the videos for the course. It's just a sort of one after another sort of thing. So really the practice that I've had from making the videos for the channel have just been invaluable in creating the course content. And that's why I started using the Ecamm originally, was because previously I was making courses not for this sort of stuff or for my channel, but for my work related things. And the editing process was a bit of a nightmare. I was my own worst enemy. So that's why I started the channel. And it sort of feels like now that I'm getting back into actually creating course content, that the practice over the past, whatever it is, 10 months with the channel has actually sort of helped with that process. So that is what I've got coming up for the next week in any case. And hopefully, if anybody does head over to the website at all, if you find out any issues, bear with me because I'm trying to get them all ironed out. But next week I will be focused on the live stream, just on Kajabi itself, and talking about the process, the things that I found with it, how to get these set up, some little things that I figured out. I had a few questions that came up. They've got really great onboarding procedures, so if you do sign up to them, and by the way, if you want to try it out, if you go over to my website, then at the bottom it says powered by Kajabi. Very proud to be promoting that, and there is like a little link down in the bottom corner. So if you want to try it out, you can go and click that link. That is an affiliate link, by the way. And so next week I'll be talking about how to build websites in it and how to build courses and all that sort of stuff. And obviously I'm still quite new to it, but I've been sort of using it quite extensively to get everything all set up, and I've come across a few little niggles and things like that weren't entirely clear. But yeah, they have these onboarding calls once you do sign up. So I signed up for a 2-month trial. They'd got an offer going that I could get a 2-month trial on the basic plan. But basically I started using it and I didn't wait for the 2 months to finish because I wanted some of the features on the intermediate plan. I don't know what it's called. I can't remember the levels now, but there's a low, as there usually is with these things, there's a low level, a medium level, and an upper level. And I basically wanted something on the medium level. So I just signed up for it within like a week, basically. And I couldn't be happier. So, but when you do actually sign up, then you have an onboarding call. And so I had that day before yesterday with somebody, and it was, really great. Really great to have somebody like get on a Zoom call with somebody. And I'd gone through the process of starting to set things up and everything like that. And so then you get on the call with them and then they answer any questions you've got. So it just seems, so far at least, I should have to say, really good process and really good tutorials and stuff that they've got, even just on the Kajabi website. So there's loads of good stuff on there as well. But I will, as I say, be covering this in more detail on my live stream next week and let you know how it's gone. Talking about, some of the analytics and stuff like that. Uploading, obviously, I'd got a database from my previous website that I wanted to import. So I've done all of that sort of stuff. So yeah, just covering off all of that basically. So that is what I'll be talking about next week. So that is about all though for me, and certainly that's about all for the 3.10 update. Let me just see if I've missed anything. Oh, I nearly missed Michelle. Hello. Just one second. If Michelle's in the room, we've just got to do this, haven't we? From LBC Branding. So let me have a little look. So that was what you were talking about. They're not getting distracted and staying goal orientated. That's exactly what I've been doing this week. Is I've just been focused on the course and getting that out. And yeah, I'll be doing the same for the Zoom course. The Zoom one's nearly finished, by the way. It was just when I started recording all the Ecamm part for it, I thought, hang on, the Ecamm stuff is something in itself, and there's plenty of Ecamm users who maybe aren't interested in the Zoom part, and they only literally want the Ecamm stuff. So yeah. That's the reason for that. Let's have a little look. Did you like that? Did I do that? Did I do that? Okay. Let me try again. And let's have a little look. Oh, and Dina. Hey, great to see you, Dina, as well, as always. Well, you're here just in time for me to wrap up, because I think that I have pretty much covered off all of the things that I wanted to cover. All of the things that I wanted to cover about 3.10. Is it wrong of me to think, I wonder what's coming in 4.0? I am really excited about it, because I can't wait to see what if this is just a dot release. I'm interested to see how they draw the distinction between a dot release and also is a a full release. So 4.0, we'll have to see. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Felicia. I really appreciate that coming from you. Thank you very much. Let me have a look. I keep losing I've got my foot pedals, but they seem to be just a little bit off center. So I keep trying to press the one to hide the comment, but I always go to change the scene. So, and there was me trying to take off the comment saying about how professional it is, and I'm getting my feet all mixed up. How are you getting on with the pedals, by the way, Felicia? Did you get a set of the Stream Deck pedals? I'm still not using the Stream Deck pedals. I'm still using my whatever they are. They're just generic. They just say Stream Deck on them that I had a few months ago. But yeah, Stream Deck. I can't get the Stream Deck pedal in Thailand yet, but as soon as I can, I'll be definitely giving it a whirl. So let me have a little look. I think I've pretty much covered off everything. There I have. I will just say, just one more time before I go. Don't forget to head over to Ecamm Live Masterclass if you're interested in checking that out. And for those on the live chat, there's a little secret squirrel offer in the chat for you. So with that said, I'm going to sign off, and I hope you all have a wonderful day, wonderful evening, whatever time of day it is, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you all, if not somewhere else on the internet, maybe in office hours. In fact, I'm wondering, are we having office hours next tomorrow? We'll have to see. Doc, I know, is in San Diego, so we'll have to find out about that. But anyway, thank you all for coming along. It's been a pleasure, and great to see you all and see you all in here. And I've got my big head syndrome again, haven't I? Hang on a minute. Let me zoom that out quickly. It's going to disappear off the screen. There we go. Just in time. Fixed it just in time. Have a great day, everyone. Thank you very much for coming. See you all again soon.